when you're ready.
Okay. This is our stem cell therapy presentation.
In our presentation, we're going to go over our group argument, the scientific, ethical, economical, and futuristic view of stem cell therapies.
As a group, we came to a consensus that not all stem cell therapies are effective, but have the potential to be groundbreaking.
One thing that most of us talked about in our papers was the FDA and their approval of stem cells. So we found that there's a few that are approved, but most stem cell therapies are not approved by the FDA. So this graph shows the number of clinics per state that are selling specific types of stem cell therapies, and each clinic is selling different types. So you can tell that the more populated states like Florida, Texas, and California have more clinics. And this graph is just kind of going into those clinics and the most popular stem cell types that are being sold, which are bone marrow, adipose, and then umbilical cord cells. And that goes into the ethical view of whether or not umbilical cord cells should be used.
Yeah. So the ethical view focuses on the right and wrongs of the realistic and logical reasoning while viewing it from both sides of an argument. And when looking at it from or through the FDA and what they've done, they approved a document of guidance which organized tissue therapy that was going to be planned to use in transplantation, infusion, implantation, and the transfer of donor cells to have the same function. The federal law also displays the thoughts of people with a higher status, which is taken into higher consideration by people that are deciding what to do with their treatment. And they grant research, but they no longer fund experiments that have to do with embryo creation and demolition because there were arguments of how moral they were. And the reversal of the funding from the federal government caused problems that can be viewed economically.
Stem cell therapy expenses average about to nearly $100,000 per year. This is through treatment costs, annual care costs, insurance coverage, as well as research and development expenses. These expenses are covered in a variety of ways through annual appropriations by Congress, user fees from pharmaceutical and biotech companies, as well as collaborations with industry stakeholders who are able to provide additional resources for specific projects or initiatives. The astronomical cost has people wondering if these risky procedures with long-term recovery times are worth the extensive prices. The newly discovered stem cell therapy using 3D scaffolding has become a new peak of interest for paying customers. Researchers have found that this new technology of regenerative medicine is much more dependable, resulting in increased success rates.
As Anna mentioned, 3D scaffolds have become way more dependable, and this is how they mimic the environment where stem cells are actually growing, which is in the body. Using these 3D scaffolds will increase the number of patients who follow through with these procedures because of the increased number of stem cells that are available for these surgeries. Because of this, these stem cells have increased in numbers because of a substance that is used called chitosan, which they bind with the cell colonies in the 3D scaffolds. So the chitosan helps protect and boost the cell colonies, making them grow faster and be stronger. Moving on from the advancement of technology and going into the advancement of surgeries in the brain is a huge step towards success in the stem cell therapy world. From the Pacific Neuroscience Institute in 2022, they said, the goal of cellular therapy is to get those stem cells to the areas that they can't get to naturally, and minimally invasive neurosurgery is a tool for surgeons to deliver these cells exactly where they need to be in the right quantities needed to have an impact. In simple words, we're pretty much able to inject adult stem cells into the brain without doing an invasive surgery and without destroying this important tissue in our body.
According to Harris et al., the consequences of these surgeries can lead to patients with epilepsy having a resection of neural tissue, which can lead to functional deficits such as verbal or visual behavioral lossage. The imbalance of the inhibitory and exhibitory cells can increase the risk of seizures, and other patients can experience the absence of integration and differentiation, which causes incorrect cell types or tumors to form. The other consequences can require lifelong surgical interference for the removals of the tumors or an adjustment to their lifestyle. The treatments endured by patients can be strenuous and costly, and money can be seen as ethical because of the inaccessibility to attain a certain treatment because of the expenses. Because how can it be right to offer treatment to the people that need it, or if the people that need it most cannot access it?
Increased cost of stem cell treatments can make access to healthcare systems very difficult for patients, especially ones with a lower income. Healthcare organizations and insurance companies face difficult choices regarding payment and coverage options for those therapies. Patients may be forced to pay large out-of-pocket expenses, potentially restricting access to patients with lower incomes. However, insurance companies have been working to expand coverage options. The increase in research and development needs have resulted in growing demand for scientists, lab techs, and clinical trial coordinators in many areas. Jobs have also opened up involving manufacturing and production expansion, as well as clinical and healthcare staffing roles.
The UC Davis Stem Cell Program works with physicians, scientists, and biomedical engineers to find cures for patients across the globe. Right now they're working with mesenchymal cells to find a cure to damaged heart tissues, and to decrease the risk of to increase the risk and restore cardiac function.
Based on what Mallory has said about heart tissue, really relates to the future of tissue regeneration. Once tissues have been damaged, they're incredibly difficult to, they don't grow back. But with the stem cell therapies, we're able to, again, inject adult stem cells into the area of impact, and we are able to regenerate tissues such as lung parenchyma, heart tissue, and neuronal tissue. And all of this can be done without an invasive procedure. Thank you.
That's it.
All right, some question. Grace, reflecting on your colleagues' work, which one had the greatest impact on your overall understanding of the problem your group identified?
Mallory had the greatest understanding on our overall identified argument and my understanding of the problem, because she showed the true facts of science and how they kind of led into everyone else's lens as well as my own, and how they also contributed to the overall discussion of stem cell therapies and how effective that they were.
Okay, thank you. Mallory, what is the way in which your team's resolution makes you think differently about your own research?
Amelia's report about how the future of stem cells and how they can cure diseases in the brain, and how she was talking about 3D scaffolds, that made me think differently and advanced my knowledge on the effectiveness of stem cells because of how they are right now, but how better and how more well developed they could be in the future.
Okay, thank you. Anna, if you had, describe an argument from one of your peers' individual reports that made you think differently about the team's solution.
Amelia's changed how I thought about how much potential stem cell therapies really have, and after hearing about how much research and progress they have made over time, it kind of just changed my perspective on how innovative they really can be.
Okay, thank you. And Amelia, if you had another team member, what perspective could they have researched for you, and how would that made a useful contribution to your work?
I think if that we had another person, I think it could be really impactful to have them through the lens of social and cultural. I think this is because that lens is mostly to do with how it affects the people and kind of what they think more about it, and it's more an opinion sort of. And I think that could have tied really well into our presentation.
Okay, thank you. With a round of applause.